Welcome back to What Arty Noobs for General Disturbance. This is a Bat Châtillon 155-58. It's the Tier 10 French SPG. This one's located on the south spawn of Mines, and it's under the command of Captain Pugwash of FPEU. And if you didn't know who Captain Pugwash was, he's a cartoon pirate, and he was on children's television way back in the 60s. Very popular. Okay, 3-shot autoloader. Used to be a 4-shot autoloader, but of course they changed that. It was just too powerful when it was a 4-shot. Captain Pugwash is too close to that building for him to get an adequate shot off. Although he knocked that wall down as he moved back, I'm not sure the enemy will be looking for a counter battery just yet. But he's moved into a position where he can shoot. In fact, actually, he's got his teammate nearby. Okay, well, first target appeared to be that bush because there's a number of enemy tanks there, and he's almost loaded. Unfortunately, he lost sight of them, but there are other targets that he can hit instead. Okay, fires at the 430, gets a direct hit and a good shot at that. 259, you can see these castle walls are actually blocking the shot on certain angles. Over on the middle island, we can see an Indian Panzer for a brief moment, but he's disappeared from sight as well. In fact, we're finding it difficult to get a target we can shoot at. Still got 2 shells spare to go. These are 155mm rounds, capable of doing 680 alpha, and he managed to hit the T30 for, what was it, 279 hit points. 48mm pen and 7.6 meters on the burst radius. He gets another hit on the T30, and he stunned the 705 at the same time, which is useful because he might get stun assist. In fact, actually, we got stun assist off the T30 because somebody else hit him just at the same moment. So we're still in reload. Standard reload for this Arty. Well, if I got my notes together before I started the replay, I could have told you instantly. But I think it's around about 45 seconds. Actually, it's 49.86. That's the standard reload. But he's got a reload of 32.37. So that's very quick, actually. And his first shot out of those 3 hits the 705, stuns the E75 at the same time, or E77, Fünfundsiebzig, that's it, yes, Fünfundsiebzig, 75 in German. I always try to pronounce the German words. I don't try to pronounce them in Russian. Maybe I ought to start doing that, actually. I do have a bit of Russian, not much, but enough to get by. Fires at the Barask. Oh, he wipes him out. That's a penetrating shot. Got through the armor, wiped him out. So he's got his first kill. Indian Panzer's pulling back. Now there is apparently a CS52 list somewhere nearby, but I don't think the Indian Panzer wants to take much more damage because he could be in trouble. This 430U is trying to poke round the corner and shoot at our teammates who happen to be inside the castle grounds. We're in reload still. Now the Bat Chat 155-58, they considered it and they were intending to go ahead and build it, but in the end they decided not to. It would have been quite interesting because it would have been an Arty with a totally rotating turret with an autoloader. Of course, we do have autoloader Arty these days. They are in existence. Of course, the Germans were very good at building autoloaders, so were the Swedes. The Swedes came up with some doozies. Yeah, that 430 is really being difficult. Not easy to get a shot past the central keep because, of course, it does stick out quite a lot. And it will intercept shells if they're fired in that general direction. course, we would like Wargaming to actually bring in the band cannon. In fact, they have brought it in on the console game. There is a Swedish autoloader on that game, but I'm not sure that they're going to bring it in on the PC game, because I think the other players would be so upset if it was. They'd cry foul. Of course, they can't cope with Arty as it is anyway. They hate Arty, mainly because they just can't play it. There's only a few Unicum players who actually do play Arty on a regular basis, and they play tanks, but they're good enough to actually play Arty and succeed, but they don't know how to avoid Arty when they're being fired at, and that's their problem. Well, Captain Pugwash has planted himself in such a way that he can get shots on the enemy, but also so he can actually move if he needs to get out of that position. Sees the Indian Panzer, fires around in, and he's got him. That's his second kill. He's just noticed the enemy Arty in the back. It's an Object 261, rounds out. And that was a penetrating shot from an AP round. Wipes out the Object 261 with one shot. That means there's still one enemy Arty out there in Su-14-2. It's a tier 10 game with tier 8 tanks. There's the other one. Now, can we get a shot? Yes, we can. We're dialing in as quickly as we can. Rounds out. Oh, he dies before the shot arrives. That would have been a counter battery and our fourth kill, rather. Instead, he's going to have to go for this ISU-152K, the premium tank destroyer who's got the BL-10 cannon. We're on reload, so we can't hit him just yet. He's not the only one up there. We can see is a Wizzy 1201 GFT. That's the tank destroyer based on the Type 59. Oh, that was a direct hit from our teammate in the Su-14-2. So that means the Su-152K is going to be badly wounded by the time we fire at him. The Wizzy 120 is moving about a lot, trying to avoid being hit. That one hit the rocks, protected him. We've got another shell ready. He's firing armor piercing. And the 152 goes down. Can we get this shot on? It does hit. And he gets a kill. That's 4 kills now for Captain Pugwash. He loaded a 3-shell clip of armor piercing. That's why he's getting these great results. Of course, it doesn't always work that way. With the armor piercing shells, you got 460 alpha, but you got 310 millimeters of pen. So if you do pen the enemy really suffers. But he's got 1 shell left. Instead of reloading, he's relocating. It looks like the enemy is trying to come down the east side of the map. We just got spotted. Somebody up on top of the hill just saw us. And it was the T-30. And he wanted a little bit of revenge, and he did take us out. Now, the Su-14-2 is still behind us, so he didn't get spotted. And in fact, he just took out the Scorpion G on the enemy team. And we're now 1 up on the enemy, so it's 4 versus 3. But poor old Captain Pugwash, he's a wreck. 4 kills is a lot. And firing clips of armor piercing is quite unusual. You can't mix and match with the Bat Châtillon 155, 58. You either have one type of shell and you have 3 of them. It's a pity, really, because nowadays the Panzerhaubitze, the enemy, he tried to get a shot off there to kill the 705, but he wasn't able to. Yes, the Panzerhaubitze 2000 is capable of mixing and matching shells, but of course it's got an auto selector. It can actually reload the shells automatically, but it can also select which shells to actually fire, and that makes it quite unique. Well, the enemy's above us now in terms of tanks, but they've made a mistake. They've allowed us to get into their cap. The AMX 1390 is sitting in there right now, and all the enemy's got is an Object 430s rushing to get to the cap area. We've come out of the cap, so it's 2 versus 2, but we've got a massive hit point advantage, and I think that's down to the 1390. Of course, remember, that's a 3-shot autoloader. Now, I think actually we might sort of like move to the other side of the map and find out what's actually going on there. The Wizzy 120 is at this moment hunting down the Object 430 who's after our AMX 1390. You can see our icon moving over the Wizzy 120. Oh, there's the T30. He is confronting chasing the 1390. We can't see it, but it is going on down below us right now. They're just not spotted. So the AMX 1390 is trying to use his speed to get away from that T30 that killed us. And the T30, well, he's probably about to get nailed by the Wizzy 120. In fact, he gets nailed by the 1390. And now it's 2 versus 1 against the Object 430U. Now, where is he? Because he's not where he was last spotted. So we've got a massive hit point advantage against the enemy now, because it's only 15 hit points to the 430U. That's probably why he's run away and hid, because he just doesn't have the health to fight them. He could be nudged, a small little nudge, and it's enough to finish him off. Well, it's all going on behind us, so we're going to follow them. And there he is. And he does try to fight, but he won't last very long. And that's the end of the game. Here's the end of battle results, and this is a very unusual game because, of course, it was played on a computer running Linux, not running Windows. Yes, Linux, of course, is the alternative version to Windows. It's the one where you often see with the penguin. It's an operating system that's completely different. It's open sourced, and therefore it's not the domain. It's not the product that's copyrighted by Microsoft. It's a different sort of running software. And it's actually supposed to run much better than Windows in many ways because it's open source. It's been corrected many times. Well, you can see Captain Pugwash managed to get a Reaper badge for taking out consecutive enemies with consecutive shots. At least 3 enemy tanks taken out in a row. You also got a fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills. He got 4 exactly. A bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 6. He also got a win rate of 2,079, which is very good indeed. Let's have a look at the team score. Didn't get the highest damage in the game. That went to the Object 430, the last guy to be killed on the enemy team. He got a high caliber and 4,826 hit points of damage, but he couldn't stay alive against the 1390 and, of course, our Wizzy 1201 GFT. So 4,826 went to him. 4,009 went to the BZ75. And then the third highest was the T30 on the enemy team, 3,858. That's the guy who killed Captain Pugwash. When it came to kills, or came to Captain Pugwash first, let's have a look at his score. He got 2,018 hit points of damage. He was beaten by 5 members of the enemy team and 4 members of his own team, which means he's in 10th place when it comes to damage. But when it came to kills, he shares the top spot with the Wizzy 120, who also got 4 kills, and he picked up a Halonas medal, a tank sniper as well. I think, if I remember correctly, the Halonas medal for killing 2 enemy tanks or tank destroyers with a tank destroyer, at least 2 tiers higher than yourself. Yes, we can check that out in a while. Yeah, let's have a look. Here it is. 2 enemy tanks in a battle, at least 2 tiers high. Yes, so they had to be at least 2 tiers. This was a tier 10 game, so he was tier 8 and was taking out tier 10 opponents. Yes, tier 8 premium. So he got 4 kills, so did Captain Pugwash, so did the T30 that killed him on the enemy team. Then we got 3 kills to the Object 430 on the enemy team in second place. And when it came to base XP, it's the Wizzy 120 came out on top with 1,154. Then the AMX 1390, the only 2 left alive on our team. And they were the only ones who managed to get over 1,000 base. We can see Captain Pugwash got 620, which puts him mid-table. If only that T30 hadn't seen him. So let's have a look at detail. He fired 11 rounds, got 9 direct hits on the enemy and 4 penetrations. Yeah, that's what comes when you're firing armor-piercing rounds at the enemy. You tend to go straight through them because, of course, it's got massive pen at tier 10, those armor-piercing rounds. The trouble is you just have to make sure they hit the target, because if they don't hit, you won't get anything. You got 10 splashes as well. 2018 rounds, 2018 hit points of damage. All of it at more than 300 meters. He did get hit by 1 shot from the T30. It was fatal because it was a 750 Alpha. 8 enemy vehicles damaged, 4 killed, and he got 346 hit points of stun assist off 9 stuns. On a premium count, he actually made a loss of 3,349 credits, mostly down to the fact that he actually had to repair because he was wiped out. He also got 5 bonds for this being tier 10. And he also picked up 3,720 experience points as well, including a mission completion bonus of 1,860. So an interesting game. Unfortunate that Captain Pugwash got wiped out. Towards the end, it would have been very interesting if he kept firing armor-piercing rounds and kept hitting, wiping out enemy tanks the way he was. It's a pity that he missed out on getting that second Arty as well. If he actually just fired a split second before the other guy did, then obviously we would have ended up with a 2 Arty kills and a counter battery, because he took out the Object 261 1 clean round. Hope you enjoyed that replay. If you did, please give this video a like, and thank you for watching.